Hello, everyone. My name is Monica Ricosi, and I'd like to welcome you to the Fashion and Sustainability Summit. The 2020 series is a collaboration of Fashion Next and LIM College. The summit is sponsored by EcoLife Yarns, producing sustainable yarns for over 60 years. It is also sponsored by Kendor Textiles Limited and the Accessories Council. I'd like to give a special shout out to one of our speakers who has a brand new book coming out, Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to be a Sales Rock Star and Fashion Startup Playbook by Daniella Platt. Welcome to week 18. We're about to have a conversation on sustainability and authenticity in fashion marketing. Today's speakers are Daniella Platt at Looking Good Yaya, Melissa Shea from Fashion Mingle, Hope Freedman from LIM College, and Annie Wells from Simply Suzette. Our lead moderator today is Terance Coffee from T.Coffee Events, LIM College, and FIT. Our co-moderator is Bettina Hobson from LIM College. And now I would like to turn this over to our lead moderator, Terance. Terance, please take it away.
Thank you, Monica, and thank you for joining us for our open conversation on sustainability, authenticity, as in fashion marketing. So, panel, thank you for joining us. My first question I want to propose to the panel this afternoon is, how did you get into marketing for sustainability, and why do you stay in this space?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. I started out in marketing back when web designs were first invented for small businesses. And so that's how I learned online marketing and just progressed through, learning websites, learning email marketing, social media marketing. And once I, it's critical to any business that you understand marketing strategy because a lot of creatives, they can do a great job creating a product and a concept for a business, but the real difficulty comes in trying to sell that product and actually turn it into a revenue stream. And so in order for that to happen, you've got to have a good marketing plan. So I realized when I started working with people in the fashion industry is that they were fabulous at creating products and super creative, but they hated the marketing side. And that's where they really needed to understand that if you make it, they will not come. You have to go and get them. And so that's what we've been doing with Fashion Mingle all these years is trying to help our members understand that they have to do the marketing as well as the creative.
So Melissa, thank you for that. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background too?
Yeah, I mean, I'm originally from the tech industry. And so I actually, even before technology was a thing, my degree was in graphic design, which is one element of marketing. And so once websites were invented, I jumped into that. And like I said, learned all those different things. But I was actually I had my own business working for just any regular company, small, medium-sized businesses. And then it was actually once I was introduced to someone in the fashion industry and I learned just how difficult it was for them to actually have a successful business. I was really curious why, because I had spent, all these years working with businesses that were having no trouble being successful. And so once I started really digging into it, I realized that's what the problem was that creatives just don't want to do it, number one. And because they are so creative, understanding technology is just like a difference in how the brain functions. And it's very, very difficult for someone who's really on the creative side to be able to comfortably adapt to all the technology changes we have. And since technology is a constantly changing thing, it's a real challenge for people in the fashion and the beauty industry to be able to grow their business, because it's such an investment to learn how to use technology to market your business.
Thank you, Melissa. Hope, turn over to you.
Well, thank you, Terance. Great to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you.
So before pivoting my career into brand purpose marketing, I was a consumer packaged good brand manager for several years at large companies, including Unilever, L'Oreal, and Danone. And my marketing role encompassed all the 4 Ps of marketing: product, packaging, placement, and promotion. And packaging is a critical product and promotional vehicle, as we all know. And since I had P&L responsibility, I was constantly evaluating packaging for its functionality, its durability, and of course, cost. And I had to really understand manufacturing and supply chain logistics to lead my cross-functional team to find more effective and cost-efficient materials to improve product as well as our financials. And so all of this was to use packaging, mostly plastic and cardboard, as you can imagine. I worked on hair color, I worked on food, I worked on household cleaning products, and it was all to meet consumers' needs in more efficient and cost-effective ways. But what I really got to love was how packaging is a bigger part of the sustainability story for brands that I work with, whether I've been with companies and agencies or even independently. And through a brand's on-packaging messaging, packaging really helps educate consumers through awareness, understanding what they're buying in terms of ingredients and their product profile and even their brand story. So packaging to me is a direct conversation with consumers that can really influence purchase behavior. And for me, I stay in the space and I love the work because I strongly believe that marketing harnesses the power of brands so that brands can be agents of change and influence purchase behavior.
Thank you, Hope, for that introduction. Daniella.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's so good to see everybody. Or I guess you guys are on the East Coast as well. So good afternoon, too. Thank you guys for having me. That was such a delight. I'm Daniella Platt. I'm the founder of a communications firm called Looking Good, Yeah. And I'm on a mission. I want to make sure that everybody's art and message is in the world. And I do that through brand strategy. I work with brands on helping design their roadmap from concept all the way through sales. I help people with developing branded apparel as well as promotional apparel. And as of this week, thank you guys. That was a really cool shout out to feature my book, Looking Good, The 10 Commandments to be a Sales Rock Star on Fashion.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So you guys, you could get it in the Fashion Dex bookstore. So shop Fashion Dex. The question is, sorry, I bugged out there for a second. The question is like, how did I get into sustainable marketing? And I just really believe that you should have less, love more. And that's just kind of always been my motto. Like I really want people to just be passionate about their purchases, be really intentional with anything, whether you're designing, whether you're creating, whether you're purchasing for your house, for your family, like just to, even in the supermarket, just like read the labels, read the ingredients, read the food. And that's just something that's just been a guiding light throughout my life. And it translates into apparel as well. And it's just something that's woven in every way, to be conscientious of all the things that you take in, because if you're really passionate about the things that you have and you really know more about what you have, you love it and you want to keep it for life and you share it with people, and it, and inherently it becomes, like, from the purpose of sustainability, inherently it just becomes part of your life and you keep it forever. And I really just believe that people should be just in love, know what you have and just absolutely in love with it. So just, have less, love more.
Thank you for that, Daniella. Annie.
I absolutely love that. Have less, love more. I'm a big advocate for that as well. But my name is Annie Wells, and I am the founder of Simply Suzette, which is an online platform that aims to bridge the gap between the denim industry and consumer. How did I get into marketing and sustainability? It was actually, I did do a degree in communication studies for my undergrad, and then I did follow that up with a postgraduate in fashion management. Which is where I started learning about the consequences of the fashion industry. And before that, honestly, my whole life wanted to work in the fashion industry. And when I found out that it was so harmful to the people and the environment, that's where my research really started. And I was honestly fascinated by the denim industry in specific. I'm a denim head, I have to say. So I specifically work in the denim industry, but once I started learning that there were all these people in the supply chain working so hard to create these new innovations and new developments that would make the industry better, I thought it was a shame that no one knew that this was happening behind the scenes, and that might have caused consumers not to invest in the sustainable products out there as well. So it was really because of my passion to educate the consumer and connect consumers with their clothing again, because I think we're so disconnected, and that affects where we're purchasing and why we're purchasing. And I think marketing is a very, very good way in order to create change and move the needle for consumers as well. So yeah, that's and why I stay in this space is because I think marketing is the most powerful tool in communicating what we need to do in order to create a better world, a better fashion industry, etc. So yeah.
Thank you so much. The next question I want to propose to the panel is, what is the biggest challenge in the fashion and sustainability space in this moment of COVID and unrest in our country right now?
Well, I think it's two different problems that we have. I mean, obviously, COVID is making it very difficult for people to do business, especially in an industry like ours that really relies on a lot of face-to-face contact, and also we need people to go out and do things so that they want to buy clothes. And then with the unrest that we have, I think a lot of that could be solved if we would just accept that there is COVID and that we just need to do what's right so that we can get back to normal as quickly as possible. The more we, already in the New York City area, there are people having events and not wearing masks at the event. And I happen to know 2 people who got COVID from attending a recent event, and they were wearing masks. So, but most of the people at the event were not, and they didn't even stay very long. And one of them is very sick. So it's very frustrating to me, that there are people that are being irresponsible, because the consequence of that is that now this person who works for themselves and has to make a living to support themselves can barely work because she's so sick. So, it's serious, and we all have to model good behavior, but also call out people when they're not being responsible, I think, because every single month this goes on without people being responsible is destroying more businesses. And everybody knows the facts now. And so if you're not following the guidelines, it's willful ignorance to do that. So I feel very strongly about it. We have to wear masks. We can have events, but we've got to maintain some social distance, and we've got to clean all services. And we've got to be responsible so that we can just save the businesses, as many as possible.
Thank you for that, Melissa. Would anyone else want to chime in?
I can chime in.
Sure.
I don't know if I should be raising my hand. So I can kind of chime in. So Melissa, that was so true. Just from a marketing perspective, I kind of think so I have about 4 or 5 things that I like to tell people. So if people want to, and this is an exercise that I've done, and if you want to kind of write down on a piece of paper all the things that are on your mind, right? All the things, I call it focus. We need to focus, and we need to have a strategic plan. What can we do? So write down all those things on your mind, all those things of worry, all those things on your mind. Just X off all those things you can't control. And then what you're left with is what you can control. So, and then just focus on what you can control. So what I tell people is, focus on what you can control. So here we are, we're at home. This is above the keyboard. So you guys are artists, you're designers, you're creatives. let's focus on, since people are home, let's just craft things that we can control. So like people want to dress like a VIP. People still want to feel good. So like, let's do amazing things for people above the keyboard looks. And like, I was listening to some trends and so forth, like whatever the WGSN reports of bright colors and happiness, but make your above the keyboard space. Like, this is our real estate. This is our Zoom house. It matters because of everything that's happening out there. And I want to party like everyone else out there, but you know, the masks and getting sick, like, let's stay safe. Let's stay healthy. What can we do? So I advise creatives, like, do your craft and keep your eye on the big picture. Ultimately, at the end of the day, design for the Met Gala if that's what you want. But right now, serve your raving fans with the art that you inherently want to give, because your raving fans want it. And where are they being seen? Above the keyboard. So that's just kind of my advice, like, focus on what you can control. And if it's above the keyboard looks, just really give them what they have. Give people what they need, you know, like the Zoom to Peloton lifestyle that people have. People want things that are flexible. We don't know people are in a bind, like, I need it now, I'm going to shop for it now. So just think about the mindset of where people are today and give like modular clothing that's going to take them from Peloton to Zoom, above the keyboard looks, just to service people with what they need now to still feel connected and filled with joy. And the other thing that I just wanted to mention is the tactile element. Like, we're all so much about touching and feeling and experiencing. How do you overcome that? I just tell people, use the mail, like, create this incredible unboxing experience. 100% of real mail gets opened. And people are delighted with joy. And in fact, not only are they delighted with joy, they might do it live on screen. They're going to touch and they're going to feel and they're going to show it to people. So I'm just kind of trying to say, like, let COVID be the undercurrent, and like, let your work still resonate above the keyboard and mail people things to really stay connected and bonded, to keep yourself close.
I just wanted to offer up a different perspective, and these are all really important things because they're the reality of the day, what Daniella and Melissa said. I think from a business or a marketing perspective, I mean, this is just very, very top level. So very briefly, I think fashion, buying new apparel is not high on consumers' radars. As Daniella said, like, we're all basically, keyboard up, right? So what's there really to buy? There's no galas, there's no parties. I mean, at least in New York City where I am. I think also that so there's affordability and, I don't know about keeping these seasons affordably priced. That said, recycled product lines like Tommy for Life and Gucci and others may help advance sustainability options for consumers in the long run, which would be great, kind of adding on to the Eileen Fishers of the world. I think also looking at internal structures and protocols and practices, certainly with the social unrest, like, what's about HR, supply chain. I mean, really taking a deep dive audit into all corners of a company. And then I think that adds cost, but it also helps companies. I think in a previous series we talked about, also to reprioritizing goals too. Like, what do you really need to do now? What's important? Kind of what I think Danielle was saying, kind of making that list, but really kind of focusing and really rejiggering what's doable and what's reachable in the next, 4 to 6 months, so to speak.
Those are great points from all of you guys. Thank you so much. So I'm going to move on with the next question. How can those working in fashion and marketing today advance sustainability, education, and action? Annie, sure, go ahead.
So I think, honestly, I've been thinking about this a lot and how we can drive just the biggest change using marketing in fashion. And I think what we really need to do is reach the average consumer, because fashion consumers actually take better care of their clothing. According to some research in Canada, people are willing to resell their garments or pass it down if they actually are, if they like the piece that they bought and they're interested in the art of fashion. So it's the average consumer that really just doesn't value our clothes at all. And that's why it's ending up in the trash bin, because they have no connection to it and they don't appreciate it at all. So I think it's the average person who's dressing for function that is the major problem, who we really need to focus on educating on how to act responsibly with our purchasing habits in the form of packaging and labeling and just getting our messaging across to those who aren't necessarily are just reaching a different audience now. You know, the sustainable fashion enthusiasts, we have that movement growing, but we need to reach the people who are not on that movement yet. So that's kind of something that I've been thinking about, and how to reach the average person.
Mhm.
And those are valid points there, Annie. That's great. Does anyone else want to chime in?
Important to level set what our definition of sustainability is. I've counted that a lot, and there's certainly a lot of meanings. In fact, I just read an article that quoted Selma McCartney, who said that she barely knows what sustainability means when she announced her spring 2021 collection. So, but anyways, I think if we kind of accept that or agree that for this conversation, maybe one overall meaning is like the preservation of particular resources that meets the needs of the population without risking, compromising the needs of future generations. I really think that, we need to find ways to increase and accelerate collaboration via coalitions for fashion sustainability to move the scale. We need to be advocates. We need to be evangelists, which I think we all are. And really, I think someone else said previously, a model behavior to encourage action where we work. I mean, companies of all sizes need to leverage what they do best, their core competencies and assets and partnerships. And on the brand level, I think marketers need to incorporate educational components and tools for consumers and put that into their marketing mix. Like I think about Allbirds. When I teach a class on CSR and marketing, we go to Allbirds store and they've got this incredible showcase of how what materials they're using in these beautiful, glass shadow boxes. And they have brochures with, kind of talking about that. So they offer that up to consumers and they talk about how the materials in their store are made. So I think that's kind of really kind of using all that we have aesthetically to convey that, as well as, messaging as well.
Great point, Tobe. So I'm going to move the conversation on a little further here. Who in this space is making the greatest advancements in terms of marketing and communication for sustainability? And what are they doing specifically that is so successful?
Well, my favorite brand to watch is Patagonia. What I always suggest for, especially for any size business, but from a marketing perspective, the best way to get ideas on how to define your marketing strategy is to look at people who are doing a great job in your space, who are already very successful, so that you can kind of follow that model. And what Patagonia has done, they have amazing, high quality, sustainable clothes. But what they also do is they tell stories that allow them to create content that allows them to engage an audience. And so you, as a sustainable fashion brand, watch what Patagonia does and see how you can incorporate that into your marketing strategy in a small way. Obviously, Patagonia has thousands of employees with gigantic marketing departments, and you don't have that. But I have this simple rule for marketing that I use. I call it's like an engine. And so in order for a car to start, all the cylinders have to be functioning. Every little thing has to be working in order for the car to get started in the morning. And so marketing is a lot like that. And so as Patagonia, as an example, you can say, take one thing they're doing. Okay, they've developed a new outerwear piece that they want to promote. So they're going to hire a team to go out and take photos of that outerwear gear that's going to be in some beautiful location where you can wear that piece of outerwear. So then you've got the ability to tell the story. What's the story of the clothing? Why is it sustainable? Where would you wear it? That becomes like a travel piece. And then you've got, you've taken this one marketing opportunity to take a picture, to do a shoot for this one new product, and you've turned it into content that you can then write a blog article that's on the internet forever. You can send it out to your email list. You can post it on social media and, even post it in a regular rotation so that it continues to drive traffic back to your site. And Google rewards you for that, because the more traffic that's gone to this one article, through social media, it gets higher in the rankings and it's more discoverable. So all of those things working together gives you long-term traffic to your website, because you invested in one really great photo shoot in a really cool location that you could tell a story about.
Thank you, Melissa, for that. There's so much buzz out there in our industry about greenwashing. What are some of the ways to avoid greenwashing?
Oh, I'd like to talk about that.
Sure.
Because this question comes up a lot, especially in my class. And we talk a lot about that. There's a huge long list. But greenwashing has been around for a long time. And I think certainly the kind of skepticism of consumers is certainly warranted in certain cases. But I think it really comes back to, for me, at least from my perspective, be selective about what issues to take on and how to support them. Like, why is it important for this brand at this time? Is there brand alignment? Does it strategically make sense in terms of where the brand is going from a positioning standpoint, from a communication standpoint? And is it easy for consumers to understand how this fits the brand? Like, sometimes, if it takes too long to explain, it's not going to be helpful. And I think also looking at resources along with impact. So like, how and to what degree will the brand's resources make an impact? Like, is it money? Is it, other kind of in-kind, resources, things like that? Is it employee hours, things like that? And, the consumers are going to be, make you accountable. So is the brand doing too little, relatively speaking? Are you just giving money? Or is the brand spreading resources over too many issues? And then it's just too overwhelming for consumers. And it's the long-term investment, because I think really you're not going to see an immediate return, and the expectation should be by the brand and the stakeholders and the leadership and outside of constituencies as well, outside of stakeholders, you're not going to see an immediate return. But I think it's also important to, I think overall, and I think the key part is communicating goals and metrics and share progress to stakeholders throughout messaging with the appropriate frequency, if it's once a year or if it's, whatever it is on social media, whatever it is in print ads. And I think it's also, basically admitting when progress isn't going as well as you thought. And there's lots of companies that are doing that well through, different kind of reporting. And I think it's about being transparent about missteps. I think the consumers will forgive if there's a huge credit for that brand of trust, and trust is a huge piece. And Edelman's Trust Barometer talks about that like every year. They've been doing that for 20 years. And certainly consumers trust brands more than media and government, and they expect companies to address social and environmental issues, but also making a profit.
Thank you for that, Hope. I have time maybe for maybe one or two more responses to greenwashing.
Just adding on to that quickly, I totally think being honest is the number one best thing to do. I've seen some brands that I admire actually just come out and admit their failures, but also how they're working to solve the problem. I also would say be careful what words you're using in marketing, because if you don't fully understand a term like biodegradability, for example, and its longer term implications, then you're playing a dangerous game with your marketing campaign. So if you're making a claim, just back it up with proof or certification.
Thank you for that, Annie. So now I would like to turn it over to my co-host, Bettina, and let her speak to some of the questions that we may have in our inbox about our topic today.
Thanks, Terance. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to moderate questions, Fashion Dex. And I'm so happy to have been a recent graduate of LIM College and have a few questions here from the audience. I'm a avid fashion chain, supply chain, sustainability enthusiast. So with that being said, I have a question from, I believe it's Mary Austin Harrelson, and the question being for Danielle first. As a marketing professional and someone who's releasing a new book, what changes in marketing strategy have you seen? Well, we've kind of answered this, but I think I'd like to give you a chance to answer it more. your marketing strategy, has that changed any bit during COVID and also social unrest, which I think it's important, at least from my aspect. I love when someone answers about both because they're interconnected, but please.
So from an overall shift, I feel like originally, so the book, it's funny you mentioned the book, because the book is called like the 10 Commandments to be a sale, the hustle. And really from a marketing standpoint, I actually, when I give the class, I share this, the 10 Commandments, I actually I actually call it sales yoga. Because I feel like we have to I have a big slide and everybody kind of like takes a deep breath. Because we have to realize where are people at right now. We have 65 million people that are working from home. We have people that like used to love to party, and now when we see our friends, we walk around the block. All things are digital. So we really just have to kind of come from like this. We have to humanize all our efforts. We have to just recognize people are numb. And that's why I say like light up your Zoom house, make yourself, the brightest star in the room. Send people VIP gift baskets in advance for meetings so you could kind of stay on course and be as one with people. Pop on the music in advance, do some chair dancing, because people are multitasking with kids at home and the worries of things that they can't control. We really want to do everything we can to, bring people into a narrow box of what we can control and fill people with goodness and joy and positivity. So really that's been the major shift. It went from like hustle and fun trade shows to really just humanizing that experience and what I call sales yoga, and just ask people the questions. What do they need now to help them? Like, what do they need now is the greatest question that I see. So yeah, I say it went from hustle to sales yoga. Just take a deep breath, ask people what they need.
Great, thank you.
The message.
No, thanks. I think that's a great aspect of, making it live and creating that connection. I had some friends actually throw an online graduation surprise party for me via Zoom, and it was fantastic. So definitely understand that. I think also I want to open it up to maybe one or two others in this space, which is maybe Annie or Hope or Melissa. You can talk about how does this strategy change, if you will, impact authenticity and making sure that you're giving a message that your brand actually can deliver upon. I kind of ties into the, not greenwashing and making sure you're giving the right message, but maybe speak to that a little bit more in detail.
Yeah, actually, I love this topic because we do these every Friday of this year since COVID began. We do a Mingle mastermind session with our Fashion Mingle members, and we bring on different members who are experts in different areas. And one of them said something a couple of months ago that I was like, that's such a great topic. And she said, "What does sustainable fashion mean to you?" And I realized so many of our members are in different parts of the sustainable fashion journey with their products. And one of the things that I personally love is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, because there's 17 and there's a goal for everybody. No matter where you are in the journey of your business, you can find a sustainable development goal that fits for your company and the types of products or services you produce. I mean, even if you're 100% service-based, like Fashion Mingle is, sustainable development goal number 8 is the one that I immediately identified with, because it's about providing good jobs to people all over the world. And that's what we're doing on the Fashion Mingle platform, is connecting people all over the world so that they can make money and find resources and sell services and products. And so, I think that's what is, what you have to do as a business, no matter where you are in that part of your journey. And I think the best way to do it is through a blog. People do not have a lot of time to write a blog. I mean, I was just counting up the hours we spent on putting out a blog for the Ethical Fashion Festival that is actually happening Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with one of our members. And, it was like 5 hours of work to get this blog written, get it edited, get the photos together, get it posted. So that's a significant amount of time for a small business. And so you have to be careful about where you put your time. But if you could try to have a goal of one blog a week on your website, over time, that is going to create so much traffic to your site. And of course, there are rules about how to do a blog that, is going to be found on the internet. You have to understand SEO and different things like that. But what you can do you can use that blog to talk about your sustainable fashion journey. With blog one, you can say, here's where I am in my journey. I want my entire collection to be biodegradable, but right now I have one item that's biodegradable and I'm so excited about that. And so you can, really engage the people that find you as part of the journey. It becomes a personal relationship where they're cheering you on and supporting you by purchasing things from you, because you're telling them very, very clearly that this is my goal, this is my passion. And, every year I'm getting closer to becoming a sustainable fashion business that, checks all the boxes.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. I also think that it can't be something done in a vacuum. So if you're wanting to become more sustainable, you have to look for that information as well. So it kind of has to be a two-way street. So if you have, a new supplier or a new customer who is maybe an influencer in that space, connecting with them and cross collaborations, I found really, really helps. And maybe Annie, you might even be able to, having Simply Suzette, maybe talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, totally. So with Simply Suzette, I actually do one blog post a week. So it's true. Honestly, I spend probably one day. I spend one day a week planning out the blog post, creating all of the content for it for the week as well. But it is a really good way to drive traffic to my website, and it is the driving force that brings all of my traffic, I have to say. The original question was the strategy, right? And I loved how you mentioned the sustainable development goals, because right now I think a strategy change for just communication and marketing right now is people are looking for different ways to communicate their goals, and the sustainable development goals are a great way to do that. And like you said, there's 17, and there's one that kind of relates to each person, and whatever resonates with you most or your brand most, that can help you speak to what you are trying to do with your brand. And I've seen a lot of brands and supply chain members also start to use it in their language and what they're trying to communicate and get across. I also think humanizing it, Daniella, is the number one thing that's changed. At the beginning of this all, I think one of the articles I wrote for someone, I did say, what do your customers need right now? Do they need a fun playlist to make them happy? Do they need a meditation guide right now? Like maybe you send that out at the end of your email marketing blast or something like that. So I think for me right now, I think the biggest change is humanizing that and finding clear language and not, while you're not risking greenwashing. So giving value to the language you're using and humanizing it.
Great. That's good feedback. And Terance.
Thank you, Bettina, for going and getting those questions from all of our viewers. I want to propose one more final question. I wanted to ask, what is one piece of practical advice you'd give to someone starting out in their journey of working in marketing for fashion sustainability?
I call it, and the word is OPP. I call it, get on other people's platforms. My advice to everybody with a brand, OPP, OTA, other people's platforms, other people's audiences. So here's I can kind of show it how it works, but just get out there and share your authentic, kind of the pillars. There's 3 pillars of authenticity. There's authenticity, there's the value, and then there's your creativity. So those are the 3 pillars. Get out there and tell your story to every possible audience you can, because, you know, that is the greatest stage you can have. And when you're out there on the stage, you're going to share your mission. Invite people, you know, I'm going to say, you know, grab my free gift at, you know, for me, it's Daniella.today, like grab my free gift. So that way you're going to get everyone's email addresses. Tell everybody, and we could even do it right now. Tell everybody to smile. I'm going to post that picture. Come and find me on, in my case, that looking good. Yeah. Tell everybody. And now you have followers. So get out there, get on OPP, and, you know, tell everybody, take a picture, so that way they will follow you on Instagram and Facebook, and just get them, go to your website to get your free gift. And that is how you're going to build your list, build your audience organically from love, telling your authentic, true self with your benefits and your value.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. I love the OPP thing. I have a little bit different take on the OPP thing. I think a lot of it, I mean, I pivoted my own career, so I kind of understand kind of what it means to kind of start out. I think getting to know the industry really well, and sustainability has got so many different facets. I mean, it's got more technical, it's got more, you know, other things. And I think just talking to a huge swath of people in the industry, because there's really no linear path, I think, in sustainability and marketing. And I think, be really open to a wide range of opportunities. I really suspect that the umbrella of marketing sustainability roles will increase as we move forward. I've seen different companies, big and small, and I think it's, I think as long as you can really start understanding, as someone said before, I think it was Ani, you know, biodiversity, like what does that really mean? And what does that mean to products? And really kind of use your critical thinking skills to kind of apply and break down these complex issues and be able to translate them, because marketing is translating very complex issues in a lot of ways in various, you know, in consumer facing programs or whatnot. So really using soft skills and hard skills to really kind of understand what the industry looks like, where it's going, understand where trends are happening from a professional standpoint, from a needs standpoint, from a talent standpoint, and then really kind of, you know, working in wherever you're in a current company, want to move, kind of finding those opportunities within that company, even that you can do it, even if it's like volunteering, like, you know, for some kind of seniorly workforce. So really kind of just start kind of building your, what I call your portfolio of skills.
Yeah.
I love that, Hope. Thank you. So, Bettina, I'm going to turn it back over to you, because we do have some more time to take some more questions from our Q&A question box.
Cool. Thank you.
Sure.
So I have a question here, and I have a couple of my own. So one of the Q&A is a question on how do you reach the average consumer? And I think this has kind of been spoken about in various different ways, but to change their mindset. So we're changing consumer mindset and saying, okay, sustainable fashion is the way to go. The question is, in my experience, comes down to price and finding the best deal. So as we know, sustainable fashion is not a bargain product with the lowest price points on the market. Many people, even if they do appreciate sustainable fashion, are willing to turn a blind eye in order to save $1. Now, before I open that up to others to ask, I would like to introduce the concept of, if we think about how much something is based on how much we wear it. If you wear it more and if you buy better quality, then it's not going to be as expensive. If you buy something that's, you know, a $5 shirt and it rips up in the wash machine, or, you know, it doesn't last, or color fades or whatever, then was that really a value? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's kind of where I'm coming from, but I would love to open it up to our expert panel. Hope, would you like to start?
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I love that question. I'm glad you brought up those points, Bettina, because I think it really is about value. I mean, if you look at, as Melissa said before, like Patagonia, I mean, they really came on the map because they had a print advertisement that said, "Don't buy this jacket," right? So the idea is that they're giving, you know, really high quality and it can last, durability. I think that's where Eileen Fisher comes in. I mean, that brand is, you know, very well known to be much upscale, but the idea is that you don't buy as many pieces, or the pieces you buy from them will last, like, you know, a long time. I've had an Eileen Fisher sweater for like 10 years. And also I think like Patagonia and Eileen Fisher, there's that extra value there. There's added value post-purchase. So like, is there a repair program? Can you send them to get repaired? You know, will they teach you how to repair? So all those kinds of things, whether it's Eileen green clothing or recycled clothing, whatever that might be. I think that there's got to be some more added value to the consumer that they're willing to pay, you know, quote unquote, a higher price. And to the person's question, fast fashion is really kind of, made all consumers, we all have the expectation of buying, as much clothing really cheap. And that's not a good thing. I mean, even when I was in consumer products, when you lower the price, you put things on sale, you're educating the consumer to buy on price only. And that's something we've had in the United States for a long time. But I think if the quality is there, if the kind of the added value is there, then I think people are willing to spend a little bit more money, not on everything, but on certain pieces of clothing and apparel.
Yeah, I love the idea of cost per wear that you were speaking of, because I think cost per wear is just it's really how we should be deciding what we're buying right now. And I like how Hope mentioned the repair and mending programs too from Eileen Fisher, because I really love the idea of take back programs right now, but unfortunately textile recycling is not where it has to be in order for that to work for everybody right now. And so what can we do right now in order to be better? And it's wearing our clothes for as long as possible. So brands that are looking to durability and being creative with what their products or how their products end up at the end of their life, I think is what needs to happen right now, rather than unfortunately saying that, yes, we're going to recycle your pair of jeans back into a new, for example, I don't know, mud jeans pair of jeans, because that's just not realistic right now. So it's like looking at these repairing, or I know Eileen Fisher also does the felting, which I think is really cool and beautiful. So it's like coming up with creative ways to look at end of life. And then also it's another story. It's another aspect of your sustainable story, another place where you can just continue to drive your story forward and keep storytelling, basically.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I just was going to weigh in one thing, and everything you guys said was 1,000% true. The one unique thing that's really happening just these days is people are really paying attention to craftsmanship. People are really paying attention to their designer, and it could be because we're home, and it could be just a desire to connect. So
I think because they have time. Yeah, I'm with you, Danielle.
So there's that element of just craftsmanship, and your raving fans love you. So build that raving fan base that just want to wear you just want to feel good and connected. So
that's an amazing point there, Daniella.
I think, Terance, you had some points or questions you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I have time for another question. What are the common misconceptions of marketing, and how can we communicate more effectively in terms of fashion sustainability?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
I would love to hear the panel's thoughts on that one.
Well, I'll speak to the misconceptions about marketing because this is something that I just hear constantly. Someone will say, well, I tried that and it didn't work. Well, if you tried a marketing technique one time, you need to try it about 99 more times to see if it's going to work. And I mean, there's a rule in marketing that it takes 7 touches to get somebody to trust you enough to give you money. So think in terms of every single customer to get your customer, you've got, how can you connect with them 7 different times so that they learn to trust you and they're willing to buy something from you. And I think independent brands certainly have this, have a higher bar, because we're so comfortable with like, okay, well, we know if we order it over Amazon, we're getting what we need, and if we don't like it, we can return it. Same thing ordering with Macy's or any of the big brands. There's that comfort level. So as an independent brand, you're going to have to convince people that the product is going to fit them, number one. And that if they have a problem that, you're going to respond to them. And so all of that, can be communicated through your marketing campaign, and once again, it goes, blogging, social media, email newsletter, just keeping that messaging going out there. And I loved the suggestion to, get yourself in other communities so that you can, talk about your brand, and bring more people back to you. That is as well a very time consuming thing, but marketing is just time consuming. So, that would be my big thing to tell, to really get people to understand is that marketing there's no formula for it. Every marketing, every business is different. Every marketing campaign has to be different. You also have to make sure that you're hitting all the marks correctly. If you're putting out social media campaigns and your graphics look unprofessional, then nobody's going to trust you. If you're putting out a blog article and it's got grammatical errors or spelling errors or broken links, nobody's going to trust you. You have to have a very high standard of professionalism, and looking at the brands that are doing it well, a brand like Patagonia, a brand like Eileen Fisher, you need a good designer to get you to the quality of the graphics and that they have. That's true. But that's just because they're a huge business, it doesn't mean that their graphics are that much more wonderful than what you can create with somebody that you find on Fiverr. You can find good graphic creation. You can find good writers. If you're not a good writer, have someone edit for you. Many times you can even find interns that can do a lot of these things at a decent quality so that your brand looks professional.
Right. Thank you, Melissa. Hope, Daniella, or Annie, would you like to just chime in really quickly on that point? Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to, if I may actually present a little bit of a different perspective. So having grown up in consumer packaged goods companies, for me, it's not only about actively getting the message out on social media and digital, but it's really utilizing a variety of vehicles. To Melissa's point, it's about consumer touch points, but it's also about a consistent, frequent message, and you got to determine what that frequency and what that kind of cadence is. But really, for me, it's really, good advertising is a 360-degree approach. So it's, and marketing and the way I've known it to be, and I basically kind of employ, it covers the 4 Ps. Like I said, product, price, promotion, placement. So it's really about leveraging all of those. And savvy marketers really know how to creatively utilize tools in the marketing mix. That's the marketing mix. And this takes critical thinking, but you also have to understand your consumer, right? You need to meet them where they are. So again, it's about what the claims are. And to Ani's point, like, what are the claims you're going to say? Can they be backed up? But I think marketing really it's beyond just, and obviously depends on the size of your company, your resources, but kind of thinking about a full 360 approach that uses a lot of what we used to call traditional media, and now more like, the social and digital world as well. Because obviously, in totality, the cumulative effect should be a lot bigger. And, that's how you kind of, with consistency and frequency.
Thank you, Hope. Annie?
We're running a little short on time. But
Yes,
Daniella, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to add one more P to your list, but with a B. I call it perfection equals broke. We could strive and strive and strive, but I want people to stand by their work and put it in the world. And the world is going to tell you what it likes. And you could spend 3 months at the drawing board, and by the time you go to market, somebody already beat you to it. So focus on one lane, pick one lane. Anybody has the same tools as Patagonia with social media. Everybody has Instagram and Facebook. The game of everybody having the same tools is the same. So any starting artist is the same tools as Patagonia. Pick one lane, do one lane really good. Let the universe tell you what it likes, what it doesn't like, and then take your next lane. You don't have to start. It's 360 in one lane, and then pick your next lane and go from there. But let the universe tell you what works and what they like and what they connect with, and keep, here we are pivoting. So keep trying new things until something sticks.
I love that, Daniella. Thank you. Keep pivoting. So lastly, can you guys let our audience know where they can find you? I know I'm Terance Coffee, and I can be found on LinkedIn as Terance Coffee or T.Coffee events on my website.
Melissa Shea, and you can find us on all social networks at Fashion Mingle. And we are a platform for fashion industry professionals, and we have a global fashion directory for every major city in the world. So you can join us. We have over 6,000 members, and we're in over 200 cities. And we have over 100 categories of fashion professionals. So if you join the fashion directory, that allows your business to be found. And it also allows you to find resources in your city or any city that you want to work in to help you grow your business.
Thank you, Melissa.
And you can find me on LinkedIn as well as Annie Wells, but also on all social media at Simply Suzette, as you can see on my kind of name screen here. And then it's also www.simplysuzette.com. And I'm actually in the middle of rebuilding my website to better serve upcoming fashion professionals and upcoming designers, as well as consumers that are interested. So keep an eye out on the website. I hope to be able to be a good.
Congratulations on the website, Annie. Thank you. Hope.
Oh, okay. Hi. Yeah, Hope Freedman, Freedman. You can reach me on LinkedIn, or my Twitter handle is Hope, all caps, and then Freedman, or at LIM College, hope.freedman@limcollege.edu.
Thank you, Hope. Daniella.
So I'm Daniella Platt. You can find me on LinkedIn or Facebook at Daniella Platt. It's on Instagram at Looking Good. Yeah. So the best thing to do is just Daniella.today, and from Daniella.today, you'll be able to grab. I have a free guide on how anybody can have an apparel line, 3 ways anybody can have an apparel line, and 5 ways anybody can be a sales rock star. So you can grab that at Daniella.today, and the book, Looking Good: The 10 Commandments to Be a Sales Rock Star and Fashion Startup Playbook, you can get at Fashion Dex. So that's kind of fun to always plug, but yeah, everything you need from me is at Daniella.today. Thank you,
Hope. I'm sorry, Daniella. I want to thank all the amazing panelists. I want to thank my co-host, Bettina. I want to thank all the crew behind the scenes for making this Zoom happen, and Fashion Dex. And have a great day.
Hi, I just wanted to also say that I appreciate everyone's time and tuning in. And one thing that we didn't get a chance, this was a great conversation, but I also want to think that Hope talked about it. We need to bring diversity into the question of authenticity and marketing and sustainability, because that's something that we didn't get a chance to, but we had such a great conversation. I didn't want to introduce extra questions, but that's definitely knowing your audience and reaching out to various audiences is a cause I'm super passionate about.
Thank you, Bettina. Yes, I concur 100%. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining us. And I would also like to give a big shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Eco Life Yarns, Endor Textiles, and the Accessories Council. Sign up for next week, week 19. We're going to be having a conversation on sustainability in fashion at Zalando, Icebreaker, and JS Brands. Our speakers will be Tusi Papas from the JS Group, Cameron Walker from Icebreaker, and Beth Greenaway from Zalando. Our lead moderator will be David Burnett from B&B and Francesca Crognali from Fashion Deck. And yes, please stop by fashiondex.com/store, where you can see the latest in books and online sourcing, including Daniella's Platt's new book, Looking Good: The 10 Commandments to Be a Sales Rock Star and Fashion Startup Playbook. That is all for today, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful one.